Well, I'm on the phone with Coach Mark Shields, as we are every Monday and Thursday during football season. And, Coach, I'll tell you, I don't know when I've seen the MDI team play better than the first half against Belfast on Saturday night.
Yeah, for sure, Chris. We wanted to come out of the gates early, and, one decision we made in pregame, and we had mentioned this, we had talked about this, you and I, the other day. You asked me, about kicking off, and I normally, if we win the toss, we'll receive the kick. And we also talked about sometimes if it's poor weather, we'll kick off. And, and we had some rain in the pregame, and, I thought, well, I still think the field's going to be dry enough that we probably could receive. But then the kids, Graham Good came to me and said, Coach, let's kick off. Let's get our defense on the field. And I was like, you know what? Okay, if that's what they want, they're excited about that, let's do it. And sure enough, we kicked the ball off, and, I think they moved the chains once on us, got a first down, but then after that we were able to stop them and then, get the ball back and come right out and score on our first couple of drives. And, one thing we talked about at halftime was the fact that we historically, the last 2 or 3 years, have not really played well in the third quarter in football games. And we talked a lot about, we need to come out this third quarter. And I think it was huge that we weren't actually on defense. We were on offense. And the kids, they stepped up to that challenge. And, that was definitely the winning drive that sort of sealed the deal for us coming out in the beginning of the second half and moving the ball right down the field and sort of putting the game away early. But, I was pleased with the kids' effort. I thought special teams, offensive, defense, across the board, we played pretty well.
And as we talked last week, and then I mentioned during halftime, I was like, oh my God, this is Belfast 4 years ago, where you play that perfect half. And then it was like, oh, what are they going to do against them in the second half? And as you mentioned, taking that first drive in the third quarter and marching down the field from after a great return, that iced the game.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, we discussed, like you and I talked about the other day, do we talk about that game 4 years ago against Belfast where we were up 3 scores? And yeah, we did. We brought it up again, and we mentioned Foxcroft last week. We were up 3 scores, and, how we need to come out in that third quarter and play hard and establish, ourselves. And the kids, like I said, they really did do that, and they took a lot of pride in that. I could tell just coming out of the huddle on offense, that first, our first play of that first drive of that second half, they were excited. They came out of the huddle, they were loud on their break, they hustled up the line, and I thought, you know what, I think we're going to be okay here, and we were.
Defensively, just a tremendous effort. Gus Reeves had an interception. I'm not sure who had the other pick because it was hard to see, and as I get older, my eyes get worse. But do you know who had the other pick in looking at the film?
Yep, it was actually Luke Mitchell.
Okay.
And Luke, he's having a real strong year. Second-year guy, hadn't played football before this, and I was real happy for him. And you're right, Gus Reeves is a guy that he's traditionally at this school. He's a basketball guy, and he played in the Acadian Football League when he was younger, and then he kind of, moved away from football and really focused on basketball. And sure enough, the day we're handing out equipment, there's Gus. He wants to play football again. And, he was backing up Ezra Johnson, and, Ezra went down against Foxcroft with that bad knee injury. And, we talked to him and said, hey, here's your opportunity, right? That old saying, next man up.
Right.
And he's the next man, and he stepped in and had a great game.
Drew Rich, a huge punt return, I think 65 yards down to the 2-yard line.
Yep, Drew has been big for us, for a couple of years now at the varsity level. And, he just has a knack for returning. Drew has decent speed. I don't know if he's a Colby Lee fast guy, but he has good speed. But the thing about him is he has great vision. And you really do need that. And you also have to be a guy that has that confidence that you can catch the ball in the air knowing that there are people, screaming down the field trying to tackle you. While that ball's in the air, you have to catch that and then make decisions, after that, and he really does see the field well, and that he had some big returns for us Saturday night.
And you mentioned Colby Lee. I had him at 14 carries, 149 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I haven't got my official stats yet from Jack Merrill, but it seems like he had a couple big ones early.
Yep.
And that's what's been going on with him. He'll have he's been well over 100 yards per game, 150 yards per game, because he usually has a couple carries that are good for 50 plus. So he's looking real good. Like we've said before, he's shifty in the hole, and he just has the speed that sometimes it makes an offensive coordinator like myself look good, because I'll call a play and the hole will be stuffed, and then he'll make a move and he's gone. So he's having a great year for us.
And Croy Albee, workmanlike effort, 11 carries, 83 yards. I had him, and the carries he has are big third down, move the pile, get those knees chugging carries.
Yep, and that's what he's been doing his career since he's been here. And in our T offense, and even our flex offense, the fullback, most plays is going right up the chute somewhere, and they're going to get hit by a defensive lineman or a linebacker every play, even if he's not carrying the ball, because he's faking, so another guy can, or he's blocking, so another guy can. So, yeah, that's just the type of guy he is, and he really does relish that that role, and he's just been great for us the last couple of years.
Andrew Phelps, a very good passing performance too, just enough to keep everybody honest. I think he was 4 of 11, 87 yards, a touchdown, a big pass to Graham Good, who caught it over the middle.
Yep, and that's something we really worked hard on this past week. I mean, we've been working more on that this season, because we really do believe that we really are sort of one-dimensional most of the time. We do run the ball, and the kids, they like the excitement of throwing the ball, but it's something we do believe that if we're going to win some big games, we're going to have to do more than just, run the football, and we have to execute our pass game. And, once again, I think at times it looked poor, but other times I thought it looked a lot better than it has. And, yeah, that throw to Graham was right on the money, and Graham, he ran a good pass route, and, that's something that we're going to need later on in the season for sure.
Well, you talk about big games. There's probably none bigger than what's coming up this Saturday against Winslow, down at Winslow.
Yep, so you have the Black Raiders, on their home field where, they're tough to beat down there for sure. And we've never won a game in school history on that field, so that tells you something right there, how good they are. And two-time defending state champions here, back-to-back years, and I thought we played them tough both games last year in the regular season and then the playoffs, and they graduated some guys, but they're a program that they don't rebuild, they just reload, and sure enough, they've reloaded. They did have their they had their fullback and tailback come back, who are their best skill kids for sure, and those guys are both seniors now, number 22 and 36, and they're tough to stop. They can beat you different ways. I mean, they can beat you in the air if they want to. They can throw the ball. They have good receivers and quarterback. They can pound it if they want. They'll try to just man you and be stronger than you and just try to take it right to you. Or they can finesse you. They have that 22, their tailback. He's probably, he's as fast as Colby Lee, and it doesn't take much, and he's gone. So, a lot to think about this week. And like we tell the kids after every game, after the Belfast game, our job is to learn from that and then apply, what we've learned to our next opponent, and that's what we'll do this week. And, it's a big week for us to get better and see what we can do down there.
Who do you give the game ball or balls to after the Belfast game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I knew you were going to ask me that. Just as I picked up the phone, and I haven't made a final decision on that yet, but we could talk about that maybe on Thursday. There's definitely, a bunch of guys that could definitely earn that this week, and it's a tough decision. You'd like to give everybody a game ball if you could, but let's talk more on Thursday. But there's some guys in mind right now. Okay,
and so as you face Winslow on Saturday, what are you going to work on this week? I mean, this is a tough week. This is a week that, let's face it, if you beat Winslow, you're in the playoffs, and you probably have got a home shot. And if you win the rest of the games, you could end up with a number 1 ranking.
Oh my gosh, Chris!
Well,
wow.
I'm calling the season right here. I mean,
Holy cow, man! Well, yeah, I mean, as far as Winslow, we were talking about it in our coaches meeting on Sunday, and the thing about them is, you really just have to play sound football. They don't have a lot of tendencies offensively. If you break down their plays, it's not like, you see, they like to, in 3rd and whatever, they'll do this, or 1st and 10, they do. They just don't have that. They're very, very balanced in what they do, and it doesn't matter when in the game, when they'll try different things. It really doesn't. I mean, to beat them, you just have to play sound defense and try to stop them. I mean, the thing about them is, you're probably not going to shut them down completely, but at least make them earn what they gain, what they get.
Yeah.
And, they're probably going to get in the end zone for sure. I mean, they're a good football team, but, make them work for it. Really try to wear them down the best you can, because they're going to wear you down. Calling offense against them is tough because, they make you earn your first downs. If you get a 3 or 4 yard gain, be happy, because that's pretty good against their defense because they're so strong. And, you just have to be patient. So, yeah, for us, I think, once again, we have a Saturday game, so we have an extra day of practice, and we'll do a lot of our breakdown drills with our individual position coaches and just get better at our technique at all our positions. And, once again, they're strong on special teams. They work hard on special teams down there. We feel like we do as well, and that's showing up this season for us. So, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to the game, but I think, once again, it really does come down to the fact you just got to play sound football.
What's the health of the team coming out of the Belfast game?
Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. Chris Farnsworth, he kind of banged up his hand a little bit. We weren't sure about him, but I saw him today, and he's thinking he feels pretty good. It looks like Drake James is going to be back. I saw him today, and he said that his knee's feeling a lot better. So, I think we're in decent shape. Abram Malloy, unfortunately, he got hit in the eye by a tennis ball the other day. So he couldn't play last Saturday night. We're not sure. He's questionable for this week.
You're going to give him his helmet to...
I know. Put his visor in there or something. But you think tennis, he'd be okay. But no, he got hurt in tennis. But overall, I think we're okay.
All right. So another road game, another Saturday game, and then a nice home game.
Right. So we'll head down to Winslow at 1 o'clock on Saturday. It looks like the extended forecast is calling for decent weather, so hopefully we can get some people down there. And then, we'll be back the following Friday versus the 2-0 Herman Hawks right now. Looking good, playing with some confidence. And
Herman plays against Old Town in Herman on Friday night. We'll talk about the rest of the Big Ten on Thursday, because I'm surprised by where some of the teams are after 2 weeks, and we'll see how they are after 3. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of parity in our conference, and there always has been, and different teams will, on different years will be at the top of the heap, and there's some really good football teams out there right now, so it's going to be a tough year for sure. All right, Coach. Have a good week. All right, thanks you, Chris. All right.